Hello and welcome to your Thirsty Thursday forecast. I'm Jeff Matthews, your host for this. So again, remember, trays and seats in their upright position because it could get bumpy. Don't forget you can get your forecast live at triple nickels 555. Easy to remember, easy to do. You go to your app store on your desktop or on your cell phone, you find live stream, you search it, and then you download it. Takes 30 seconds, and then you search in live stream for Weathertainment, and you follow it, as well as on Periscope, which we do at 6:05 each evening, and that gives me an opportunity to answer a lot of questions that people have about weather in general. Meanwhile, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr, all at the same name, CNY Jeff Matthews, nice and easy. Let's talk temperatures, because that's partly where the story is going. Slightly above to, well, significantly above over the weekend, and you can tell by the temp trend which way I think the storm is headed. When there's a storm coming, like there is here, and you see the numbers rising, you know the storm is probably moving through to our left or west, which is wet, not white, but that's not the entire story. It will turn much colder Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and there's a storm coming Tuesday night and Wednesday that looks like a snowmaker for us. So the weather headlines: gradual increase in temps and in cloud cover now. The weekend is a close call, but it's trending towards rain. Next week there'll be multiple snow chances, perhaps the best of which looks like Tuesday night, Wednesday, and that does look like a snowmaker. Meanwhile, the cold air that moved in from the Arctic is now retreating over the Labrador area, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and Greenland. As that high moves off the coast, it takes the best weather with it. First the high clouds, then the thicker clouds, then the rain and snow-making clouds from an incoming and developing storm that is now moving across the middle of the country. Now, this is from yesterday's radar. Remember, it was just starting to form, and I had a track of where I thought it might head. Now, 24 hours later, look where it is and how it's grown. And now there's snow on the northern part. Now, the track, if I were to update this, I would move it a little further north and west. But for us, when it gets here Friday night, I think it'll start at night, which will be cold enough to start as snow, so we might pick up an inch or two of wet snow as that moves through. Now, in the short term, it's all quiet on the local radar, so it's not anything immediately on the doorstep. That high will be moving off the coast and away, taking the cold air with it, allowing the clouds to begin to increase of the higher variety first today, tonight, and tomorrow, and they will continue to increase and thicken and lower through the next 48 hours. Now, I want to get back to the storm itself, and I want to spend some time explaining why I always say left, west, wet, right, rain. Okay? Here's a storm. This is a hypothetical. Storm has a circulation around it, counterclockwise. So, as a result, it develops frontal boundaries. A warm front, which is the leading edge of warmer air to the south, that's being pulled northwards in advance of the storm. And a cold front trailing behind it that is being dragged around it this way to drag in colder air as the storm departs. So there's three air masses with a particular storm. A cool air mass to the north, a warm air mass behind the warm front to the south, and then a frigid air mass in the winter behind the storm. But that frigid air is usually so dry it shuts off the precipitation. Now let's plug in where the precipitation goes. It's usually snow well north of the storm, northeast, north, or northwest, and then it fizzles out west. It is ice close to the warm frontal boundary. Before the warm front gets completely in, you'll get ice or sleet or freezing rain, something like that. And then in the warm air, you usually get rain. So that's why the track is so important of a storm, because if you are always to the left of the storm, you're always going to be in the snow or ice quadrants. If you're to the right of the storm, you get into the liquid quadrants. So that's why we pay attention to the storm track and intensity for that matter. Meanwhile, here's a look at the almanac. Very close on the high and low side. It did go sub-zero. And I'll have your forecast in a moment.
Hey, Coach, we need you in the team now.
Yeah, give me a second. I've got to check my Weathertainment.
Hey, Coach, what play are we going to run off the face-off this time?
Hey, I'll tell you in a second. I've got to check my Weathertainment.
we go for your Thirsty Thursday. There's going to be some sun, but it's going to be dimming throughout the day. So dim sunshine, not as cold, a high of about 35. Not as cold for your Thursday night. Mostly cloudy. There'll still be a little bit of moonlight through the clouds. And then pretty cloudy on Friday. The snow arrives at night, after sunset, and maybe even after supper time. And a high of around 38 degrees. But it'll go down to about 30 Friday night, 28 or 30. And then Saturday morning, wet snow going to freezing drizzle, going to drizzle and light rain. That'll peter out by early afternoon, but then it'll return again as rain Saturday night, and it may end as a brief period of wet snow Sunday afternoon. Then there's a lull, maybe a few lake flakes close to the lake, but not so much for Otsego County. And then Tuesday night and Wednesday is a definite time of interest. That's your forecast. Spread the word and make it a great day.